This is your Barbados Today morning news update for Thursday, September the 20th. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour.
I come, you can put down your mother, but your mother can put down you. I don't have nobody there for the choices to be. My two children again, and my grandchild, Lord, I ask you to strengthen me for all of them. In Jesus' precious name, the name of the Lord.
The usual fierce competition among vendors at the Bridgetown Fish Market was replaced with somber scenes as fisher folk mourn the tragic loss of one of their own. Last night, those who worked with Stephen Molly Small, who was robbed and killed last Thursday evening, joined with family to hold a candlelight vigil. Tears flowed freely as members of the fishing community remembered the life of the man they had come to call brother for the last 20 years. Fish vendor Simone Bellamy, who organized the vigil, described her friend and colleague as a man that was generous to a fault.
We present this poster to you for the remembrance of our brother, a friend, a husband, family. And I hope that you will never forget what Mary has done for all of us. I present you this in the name of the Lord, in Jesus' holy precious name. We all love Mary, and we all shall love one another.
In other news now, the government of Barbados owes the National Insurance Scheme a staggering $461 million. Director of Finance Ian Carrington says that has forced the NIS to use its investment income to meet benefit payments each month. For that reason, Carrington said it is necessary for the NIS to engage in the current government debt restructuring exercise.
The issues that NIS faced over the last 5 years was simply this: a buildup of arrears by central government and statutory corporations where they weren't paying in cash the contributions from central government or statutory corporations. A buildup of arrears where they weren't paying the other obligations such as rent for the buildings that they occupied. That then forced NIS into a situation of utilizing much sooner than NIS had anticipated the investment income to sustain the payment of benefits. And on a monthly basis, that averaged essentially utilizing $17 million out of your investment income. This debt restructuring essentially puts a marker in the sand, and what we are seeking to do is pay off the arrears, which as of to date is about $461 million, half of it in cash over a 4-year period, the other half in bonds, put government back into a position where it can pay its central government's contribution and the contribution of statutory corporations on time and in cash.
An economic advisor on the Barbados Economic Recovery Team, Professor Avinash Prasad, said had the government not moved swiftly to address its debt of 175% of gross domestic product, or GDP, this country's vital foreign reserves would have hit rock bottom within weeks.
Now, what happens if we had continued at 175% by a strike? The only way that we were affording that is by printing dollars. If no one else is lending to you, then what we started doing is paying our bills not with borrowed money, but paying our bills with printed money. Going to the port to buy an import with a dollar that was printed, not backed with any dollars in reserves. No wonder our reserves were cascading down, and if we didn't do anything, our reserves would have hit zero within a matter of a few weeks. So then we wouldn't have been able to import things very easily. Then we would have had to adjust, not over the 4 years of the fund program, we would have had to adjust the economy in 3 months. We would have had to send home a lot of people and adjust an economy in 3 months. That's not a credible position, I think, for Barbados.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. As the people of Antigua and Barbuda prepare to vote in a November 6th referendum on whether to join the Caribbean Court of Justice, its President, Justice Adrian Saunders, has been holding high-level talks with government and opposition leaders with a view to convincing any doubting Thomases that the CCJ is the way to go.
When I hear this talk about it's not a priority, it's something yes, but not no, I'm saying, well, if not now, when? What are we waiting for?
CCJ President Adrian Saunders is in Antigua with one mission: to explain the court and to clear up any misconceptions, saying now is the opportune time and citing powerful reasons why it's important we de-link from the JCPC.
It is a completion of the circle of our independence, but even beyond that, it is simply affording access to justice to ordinary people.
Justice Saunders says in Antigua, 37 appeals have gone to the Privy Council in the last 30 years, stating there should have been more. It's simply not affordable.
Maintaining appeals to the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council is stifling your justice sector in the sense that not a lot of ordinary people are able to take their appeals any further.
He says people should not be afraid of political interference.
That issue that you hear about political interference is rubbish. It's absolute rubbish.
And on the international scene, the U.S. Senate has given a woman who accuses Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault until tomorrow to decide if she will testify. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley sent a letter setting the 21st September deadline to Christine Blasey Ford's lawyers. Judge Kavanaugh, 53, has firmly denied the allegation. More from the CNN.
Senator Grassley just moments ago issuing a statement saying, quote, anyone who comes forward, as Dr. Ford has, deserves to be heard. So I will continue working on a way to hear her out in an appropriate, precedented, and respectful manner. Senator Grassley goes on in that statement to say the standard procedure is to have a background investigation, to conduct follow-up calls with the relevant parties. In this case, he says that would include a follow-up call to Ms. Ford, who has come forward and said Brett Kavanaugh sexually assaulted her back when they were in high school, and the Grassley statement goes on to say then a conversation with Judge Kavanaugh. Background calls. He says Dianne Feinstein, the ranking Democrat, has refused to go along with that. The significant development here is that Ms. Ford says she is willing now to testify publicly at a hearing.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Now, you can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.